I think Arsenal fans are just playing like a moral high league at this point. They just want to finish like above Spurs and play good football, whatever that means. I mean, they do play like entertaining football, and at least there is a brand of football that they play because there is an Arsenal way in that sense. But Arsenal, I don't know how to say this, but which end of the spectrum would you rather be on? Would you want something tangible or do you want like moral victories? Like in the sense that, would you play good football and have nothing to show for it like over the last 2 years?
Welcome to the Corner Flag, everybody. Joining me today is Rohit George. He's a comedian and a Man United fan, as well as I can see from the jersey he's wearing and from the chats that
Yes.
we have had on Instagram
Yeah.
that
Yes.
show that he is a Man United fan. Welcome to the Corner Flag, Rohit. How's it going?
Thank you so much for having me, Amogh. It's been great and it's going good. There's a new manager bounce in the air, if you can
Yeah,
feel it. And
yeah.
it's going by the Mumbai weather, it's pretty hot.
Yes, it is. I mean, in the air, mostly what I can feel is pollution because firecrackers are being burst, and I'm unable to breathe. But somewhere
Okay.
in the smells of Bombay pollution and garbage and the wafts of warm air just hitting you from all sides and leaving you in a drench of sweat every second of the day, somewhere there is a new manager bounce that I can smell.
Yes, there is. And let's see, could be like a Amorim Chitrakatha. We never know.
Oh, we'll get to Amorim in just a bit because
Yeah.
the last episode, in fact, I had Prashant on the show from the United Supporters Group, and that was just
Okay.
after the sacking of Ten Hag. So we
Mm-hmm.
let go of the usual run order and just dive deep into United stuff. But this
Okay.
is not just a Man United podcast, even though there are
Is
times
it?
when it supposedly isn't, quote unquote. I We
Okay.
try to not have it be very
Fair
Man
enough.
United
Yeah.
specific,
Fair
but
enough.
after last week's episode, I feel like this week
Mm-hmm.
we should look at some of the results in the Premier League this game week, at least. More
Okay.
so because City and Arsenal they lost. Rohit,
One of those
le-
rare game weeks, right? Where you like I was just watching the highlights of the City game, and the City, the commentator starts the game in all pompous saying City have not lost in 2024, and
yeah.
90 minutes later, there's a first time for everything.
Yeah, that is the commentator's curse. No, that is very
Yeah, that is
classically the
classic.
commentator's curse.
Yeah.
So it's just it it's come down to this, right? As United fans, we don't get enough joy from watching our own team. So to see other teams fail is the only joy that we get.
Yeah, as shallow as that sounds, I think we've become those people now, Moog. We
Yeah,
never thought that these days would come, but here we are.
yeah. It's we are the noisy neighbors, Rohit. We are the ones that Sir Alex
Yeah.
Ferguson spoke about. So let's begin with the City game, right? Bournemouth
Okay.
ending Man City's unbeaten run.
Mm-hmm.
A firstly, बॉर्नमथ में ब्रेकफास्ट में क्या खाया है आई वांट टू नो मतलब कौन सा च्यवनप्राश खा रहे हैं ये लोग बिकॉज अंडोनी एरोलो
Mm.
is absolutely killing it at Bournemouth. It's great that
Yes.
they
Yes.
kept their faith in him because results at the start of his tenure
Yeah.
were not good for them. It looked like
Yeah.
he would be a manager who would get the sack. In fact, last season on this very podcast, a lot of us actually predicted Iraola to be one of the first managers to be sacked last season. But
Huh.
they've stuck with him and they're reaping the benefits now.
Hmm. True. It seems like trust the process works for every other club apart from Manchester United. अब भैंचो अपने से होता नहीं है ये. This is apart. हमारे सिवा like सबको like they can trust the process and they get time and it works for them. But when it comes to us, I don't know. There is a problem with the trust.
Yeah, there is lack of trust. There is also lack of process because
True. True.
as much as I would have loved to have Ten Hag stay in the job and trust his plan, after a point it was like, "Bhai, plan hai kya? Process
Yeah.
hai kya?
uh,
Is it
That
even
is
there?"
true.
So
That is true.
it is tough to trust that process after a while. But
True.
Bournemouth are doing really well. They've got some great players. Semenyo, who was also on the score sheet
Semenyo.
in this
Yeah.
game, is fantastic. They've got Justin Clivert. I mean, Patrick
Yeah.
Clivert का बेटा
Clivert.
बॉर्नमथ के लिए खेल रहा है, which is just next level. Like there are some of these players that
That's
just
true.
pop up at these random Premier League teams. No, it just makes you very very
Yeah,
happy.
like Liam Delap at Ipswich.
It's at Ipswich. Yeah, yeah. What a player.
Yeah, what a player. And yeah, I wish like sometimes I wish like a son of a United player also played for United so that we can just get behind them for like generational purposes.
Yeah,
And then it doesn't seem to happen. But coming back to the point about being beaten is one thing, but being outplayed is something completely different. And I think Bournemouth outplayed City. I was just watching the highlights and they were
yeah,
just on City's case throughout.
yeah,
And yeah, they could have won. They won it like 2-1, but honestly, they could have won it like 4-5-0
yeah,
or 4-1 or 5-1 because they had the chances. They hit the post. They couldn't like convert the follow up,
yeah.
all of that. So and coming back to your question of ये लोग ने सुबह क्या खाया था यार जो भी खा रहे हमें भी खिला दो यार even we want to play like this.
I mean, maybe that will happen under the new boss. We never know.
Yeah,
Some Portuguese pastéis de nata might
pass.
come into the picture for
Hope
breakfast.
so.
But I feel like is it a case of Man City just finally being found out? Pep Guardiola finally being found out by the Premier League, and this is nothing to take away from the achievements of Pep and Man City. I
Yeah,
say this with a heavy heart, but fuck, what a team
yeah,
and what a coach,
true,
right?
true.
Regardless of the kind of side they put out, they will
Mm-hmm.
still give you
Complete.
a
Yeah,
game, right? Like
yeah,
we saw that in
definitely.
the Carabao as well when Spurs knocked them out. It wasn't a
Mm-hmm.
first choice Man City team,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah,
still a very competitive team, and Spurs had to work hard for
yeah,
that victory. But
true.
if you take that into consideration, now that's two defeats on the bounce in all competitions.
Yeah.
So are we seeing Pep wobble a bit? Is the lack of Kevin De Bruyne and the spectacular lack of form from Erling Haaland, especially in front of goal, is
Hmm.
that coming to bite them?
Could be a bit of that, and it could be a bit of Pep getting found out because he's been here for 4 years now, and we've all had it with their dominance. I mean, to be fair to the man, he's so good a manager. He turned the Premier League into a Farmers League in the last 4 years,
Yeah, yeah,
and now I think, but it's also like the way I see it, it could also be a question of hunger. Like after winning four Premier Leagues on the bounce, you could be your appetite could be full and could be a question of maybe they don't want it anymore. Like they don't want it as much anymore.
yeah,
And plus they have like the injuries to De Bruyne and Rodri, and it's just like I mean it's a great team. Like you said, if you take their most combative player out of it and you take the most creative player out of it, then
yeah,
like you said, Haaland को खिलाने वाला कोई नहीं है. And more than Pep Guardiola, I think it's like you mentioned in the show order, it's FPL managers who are getting frustrated because
yeah,
he is a considerable chunk of our budget,
yeah,
and it's just like frustrating. And the worst part is you can dabble with the idea of taking him out of your team and reinvesting the funds, but you
yeah,
can also be sure that if you do that, you'll probably be watching all City matches from the couch, like from the
yeah.
back of the couch, because he
Yeah.
might just go on a scoring run after that.
Yeah, but that's actually what has happened, right? Like a record number of FBL managers. I forget what the exact percentage is. If I'm not mistaken, it's in the 80s. 80%
Yeah,
of FBL managers have actually this week or coming leading up to game
yeah,
week
yeah,
11
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
transferred Erling Haaland out. Now, I have not. Rohit, have
Me
you?
neither. Me
Good
neither. I
man.
don't have. I know I don't have the guts to do it. I've been contemplating on this idea for the past 2 3 weeks,
Yeah,
but दम नहीं हो रहा है यार because डर लग रहा है genuinely. Uh,
exactly.
in fact, I'm hoping for the other. Like I'm hoping for the other side of the spectrum right now, where so many managers get frustrated and transfer him out that he becomes the differential option. Can you imagine that?
Yes, that would be fucking fantastic. And that is exactly what I keep telling myself. Like, you were candid enough and brave enough to say, ki gaan phat rahi hai teri. But I am going to
Literally.
be a little cowardly and be like, no, no, this is the plan. Trust this process, man. Like, this is my plan. Everybody will transfer him out, and then I will reap the benefits. Because then,
Yeah,
when
of
that
trusting him in him, like
inevitable double game week comes, that is when I
yeah,
will play the triple captain on him. a
on
bunch of
him, yeah.
a bunch of managers, even in all the mini leagues that I'm in, have triple captain Haaland in I think game week 8 or 7 or something.
And
When they
how
were
did that
playing
go?
Southampton, he got one
Okay.
goal and that was about it. But
Okay, that
I'm
is
waiting for
slightly
a
underwhelming.
Exactly. And they've wasted their triple captain. I'm waiting for a
Yeah.
double game week. Play it safe, guys.
Mm.
Play it regular, play it normal. I have realized my
Yeah.
mistakes. I've tried to make differential choices and they've bitten me in the ass. I am going to be very conservative in my FPL
Very conservative.
outlook,
Yeah.
and
True.
that is what I'm
True.
going to be.
True.
So
True.
let's hope that now Haaland goes on a fucking mad scoring run.
Yeah. 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 Hope so. But again, it's a question. That the probable question of like खिलाएगा कौन उसको, because he's not, apart from his goal scoring prowess, he's a great footballer, but he doesn't really contribute to the team
No.
in the overall sense. If it's not like scoring goals is his predominant responsibility in this team. And apart from that, he doesn't really bring much to the table from an FPL perspective, at least, because
Yeah.
he's not that creative type of striker who will link up with others. And if he's not getting you goals, it's not like he's getting you assists either. Because
Yeah.
so it's either like he scores, or you get like 2 points from him or 3 points from him, which is just weird.
Yeah. And to actually now elaborate on that point, because that's very interesting what you said, which is that if he doesn't have somebody providing him with the passes,
Hmm. Hmm.
he's ineffective. And of course, that
Yeah.
gaping hole in the middle in that number 10 role
Yeah.
is Kevin De Bruyne. Now,
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne is not fully fit, but at the same time, he's not getting any younger either. He is
True.
uh, closer to the end of his top level football career than he is
Yeah.
to the peak.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is the brutal honesty of it. However,
True. Saudi is calling pretty soon for Kevin De Bruyne, like,
I'm
and
pretty
he's
sure.
no, and he's been very candid about this in the past as well. Like, he knows that, like you said, there's only like 2 or 3 years of like top level football in him, and he's also said, he was very honest about the fact that financially it could be a great decision for him to move to the Saudi league and then like not worry about finances. Not that he has to worry about finances right now, but like
Hmm,
just financially, it's just like too lucrative a deal for him to say no. So.
yeah.
But yeah, back to your point, City don't seem to have a replacement for Kevin De Bruyne.
But that's where I want to ask this question,
Hmm.
because in my head, right, with the way City buy players and with the
Hmm.
way City develop players,
Hmm.
they are the most well-run organization in the league as of now.
Hmm.
No doubt about
True.
it.
True.
Now, if you look at their attacking purchases over the last, let's say, 3 years, you've
Hmm.
got Savino, who looks like
Hmm.
a mental player. You
Yeah.
have Jeremy Doku, who again is so threatening. You
Yeah. He
have
is.
and you have Jack Grealish, who
Yeah.
was a maverick at Aston Villa,
Hmm.
and since joining Man City, he hasn't been able to replicate that level of consistency. But having
True.
said that, it's not like he's a bad player. He has performed when
Definitely
it has
not.
mattered,
Yeah.
and while he may not be at the same level as a De Bruyne or whatever, he is still a very capable player. He is somebody
True.
who will still make opposition defenses feel threatened. Now,
True.
apart from these players, the one other player that I would like to throw into the mix is their own academy product, Phil Foden. Phil
Yeah.
Foden, of course, also coming back from injury, so there
Yeah.
is that aspect of it. But Phil
Hmm.
Foden is perfectly suited for that number 10 role.
Number 10 role. Yes.
Right, even when he's
Yes.
playing for England and he's being put on the wings, he has
Hmm.
said that he likes playing through the middle. That is
Yeah.
his most preferred position. That is
Yeah.
where he likes to play,
Position.
because that is where he gets most of the ball and that is where he can create a
Create
lot of
chances the
attacking
most.
chances. So
Yeah.
Foden for me would be a like for like almost a replacement for De
Replacement. Yeah.
Bruyne,
Yeah.
and I don't know why that's not happened yet, probably because of injury. And if
Yeah.
that is the case,
Hmm.
Jack Grealish can play in that role. Why is Jack Grealish constantly being put on the left wing in a competition for space against Jeremy Doku when you
Hmm.
can accommodate both of them, especially in this moment where Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne are not fully fit?
Hmm.
Play Grealish in number 10, play Doku on the left wing, play Savino on the right wing. That is a fucking mental
Yeah.
attacking force.
Yeah, true, true, true. But honestly, okay, I have to start with a confession here that I'm not the biggest Jack Grealish fan in the world. I think he did well at Aston Villa because he was like a big fish in a small pond kind of
Right.
situation.
But
Ever
you
since
didn't
he's
wait. Are you really saying that you did not like him and bend it like Beckham? Because I
great
thought that was a
cameo
great
there.
performance.
His
मतलब
best
फुटबॉल भी अच्छा
performance
खेला,
till
एक्टिंग
date,
भी
yeah.
अच्छी की.
Literally. Apart from that,
Ah,
he's still trying to find his refine his form from bended like
right.
Beckham now. But
Yeah, yeah,
coming back, like on a serious note, I'm not a big fan of Jack Grealish because I think he did well at Aston Villa because it's playing for an Aston Villa is very different from playing like from for a City, for example. And because he was pretty much rest assured of his position in that Aston Villa team, like he was first name on the team sheet on
yeah,
most occasions.
yeah,
And here at City, if he was that good, by now he would have nailed down a position like in
yeah,
the starting level. He hasn't done that for because he's competing with like a De Bruyne, Foden, now Savinho and Doku.
yeah.
But it's a great question that you raised in terms of he Jack Grealish can play number 10 and he was playing number 10 or that a similar kind of role at Aston Villa. It's surprising that Pep hasn't tried him out in that position in that role. Maybe he doesn't see him as a number 10 or whatever because whenever he does play, he plays off the wings like
Yeah,
for the most part.
yeah.
And again, he has a decent work rate, but I don't rate Jack Grealish. And sorry to all the City fans and Jack Grealish fans over there because I
I
just
mean,
don't rate him.
what City fans?
The five of them who
Five of
will
them.
be watching League One soon, including
Five
a
of
couple
them.
of my.
Five of them, of which only two listen to this show.
Fair enough. So the apologies to the two corner
Yeah.
flag City listeners. And I just don't rate him too much. And I don't know, man. I think he needs more consistent game time. So maybe
Yeah.
a move away from City might be a better option in the long run and with regard to the bigger picture. But it'll be interesting because City have like a injury crisis and like the festive fixtures coming up. So I'm pretty sure at some point Pep might be tempted or might be forced to play him in that position, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Yeah, absolutely right. At the end of the game week, of course, with the results, with Liverpool winning and with City losing, the table does look quite interesting because City are
Yeah,
second, two
yeah,
points away from Liverpool, who are first,
yeah. Yeah.
and Arsenal are now
Hmm.
sitting in fifth place on 18 points. That's two losses and a draw in their last five games. They face Chelsea next, and they find
Yeah.
themselves in this position because they lost 1-0 to
Hmm.
Newcastle. Rohit,
Newcastle.
do you have any Arsenal fans? And if you do, how are you going to laugh at them?
I have Okay, so I have like a really close friend of mine. His name is Amit. He was an Arsenal fan for like the longest time, and he was like a proper Arsenal fan. Like we play good football, we trust the process, we give manager time, all of that.
Hmm.
Last year, for some reason, he stopped following football, and Arsenal have been doing relatively well since he stopped following football. So now I don't even have like that one token fan to make fun of. So I'm really on the lookout for an Arsenal fan that I can banter with because I'm like really like short changed in that department. There's nobody for me to like poke fun at. But
Yeah.
yeah, this seems like Arsenal have gone back to like factory settings have been restored in them because the festive season is around the corner when or we're in the festive season already. So maybe that's why Arsenal have started fucking up in the league.
I mean,
And
I presume you're Catholic, so your festive season is around the corner. So fair enough.
yeah, true. So that's how I know it's a festive season. Like the winter bells and Christmas bells start ringing when Arsenal start like fucking up, and we're heading towards that time of the year. So yeah, it's about like it's feel very natural, and like maybe the only trophy they'll win from here on is we play good football and like we
Yeah,
finished above Spurs. Although even that
absolutely.
can be a close run thing this season.
Exactly. And there's, like you said, there's two things that signify the
Mm-hmm.
advent of Christmas.
Of,
It is Michael
yeah,
Bublé and Mariah Carey coming out of hibernation, and
yeah,
Arsenal beginning to fuck up. Those are the
yeah.
sure shot signs that Santa Claus is on his way.
True. And Arsenal probably need like a Santa Claus of their own to like save them from whatever they're going through at the moment. And
Yeah.
God knows, man. I don't know. I didn't think they would be up for a title challenge this season, but I didn't think they'd start fading away so close. I mean, the 10 games in either.
But so now
So
this
from
is the
now
thing, right?
on,
So let's talk about that in a little bit more detail, right?
sure.
The issue start again with Bournemouth because
Hmm.
they are pretty much the kingmakers. I feel like in this
Yeah,
season,
it's
they are the
party
ones that
poopers.
Yeah, they are the king slayers and the king makers
Yeah,
in this season, which is again
true, true,
fucking
true.
fantastic for a neutral to watch. Uh,
Amog, are you
but
saying they are the cherry on top?
they are the cherry on top. Well done, well done. Yes, absolutely. So it starts off with a 2-0 loss to Bournemouth, following which
Hmm,
they managed to get a 2-2 draw against Liverpool.
hmm,
And I say managed to get, they should have actually won that game, but they let
yeah,
Liverpool get back in, and Liverpool fought hard
true.
to salvage a point from that game. And now they've lost 1-0 away to Newcastle.
Newcastle,
I feel
yes.
like for everything that Arsenal fans keep talking about, the process and
Hmm,
the beautiful football that they play and the culture that
yeah,
Arteta has changed, I get that.
change.
I completely get all of that, right? But the fact of the matter is, Arsenal are just not a deep enough squad. And if
True.
any Arsenal fan after last season actually had the guts to think ki yaar nahi, this season is actually going to be our season, because if last season we managed to go up to second place and give City a fight, this season we'll end up giving them a much bigger fight and a much better fight and a much tougher fight.
Yeah,
पर भाई तुम लोग के पास स्क्वाड डेप्थ नहीं है. You don't
true.
have a a proven out and out striker, because Gabriel
Hmm,
Jesus, when you signed him, he was supposed to be a great signing. He hasn't really worked out for them. Kai
okay.
Havertz is hot and cold, right? Because
Yeah,
he
Blues.
was hot and cold for Chelsea. He started off very hot for Arsenal and then is going through a bit of a cold patch. Your most
True,
consistent goals are coming from Bukayo Saka. And
true.
that's fine because he is a mercurial player. But he is
Yeah,
a winger. You can't expect him to be providing all the goals and all the assists. The other
true,
problem that you're
true.
facing is that Odegaard is injured. And you
Yeah,
can't have a massive injury to a player like that and then completely falter, right? I
true.
would compare that to Bruno Fernandes getting injured for Man
Hmm,
United
hmm.
and us still
Or De Bruyne
thinking,
getting injured for City.
yeah, but with De Bruyne, I still feel like because of the depth that City have,
True.
they you would still think of them as favorites going into every game. Like this game against Bournemouth that City lost this weekend
Hmm,
was
hmm,
still, I feel like, a one-off. Like it's a fluke result. It's an anomaly. But
hmm.
every other weekend, every other match week, every other game, you would still expect City to give a fight and claw out the victory or at least a point. That's what they do.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have that same feeling from Arsenal, or at least I don't. As a neutral who does not care
hmm,
about Arsenal, if I'm watching their
yeah.
games, you're playing good football, great, but it doesn't amount to anything when the going gets tough. The
True.
true hallmark of a championship winning team is you fucking grind those results out even when you don't have
Hmm,
a fully fit squad, even
true,
when
true,
it looks like things are going against you. And Arsenal just don't
true.
have that. The minute they see something is going wrong, they get injuries, it
Hmm,
just starts falling apart.
true. And I think I don't know, man. I think Arsenal fans are just playing like a moral high league at this point. They just want to
Yeah,
finish like above Spurs and play good football, whatever that means. I mean,
yeah.
they do play like entertaining football, and at least there is a brand of football that they play because there is an Arsenal way in that sense, as compared to let's say the United way, which is history, if not a mystery. So yeah, but Arsenal, it's I don't know how to say this, but Amma, which end of the spectrum would you rather be on? Would you want something tangible or do you want like moral victories? Like in the sense that, would you play good football and have nothing to show for it like over the last 2 years? Or be like
Tangible,
a hot and cold club and win like a couple of trophies and get like a manager sacked. So
tangible,
what would you choose?
very, very, very tangible. I'm very, very clear that I would like tangible success. And I spoke about this with Prashant as well. Prashant made the same point in the last episode where he was like, boss,
Hmm,
टेनहाग सैक हो गया,
hmm,
फुटबॉल गंदा था. It
hmm.
was terrible by the end of it. He had
Yeah,
lost the dressing room, players were not playing for him, whatever it
yeah,
is, the typical
yeah.
nonsense that happens before a manager gets sacked.
Huh.
But 2 seasons, 2 trophies. What has Arsenal done? What has Arteta done?
True,
I would
true,
still
true.
take 2 seasons, 2 trophies,
True trophy.
and sacking the manager if it doesn't work out and bringing a new manager in who can
Yeah.
probably build from there and move on and continue getting silverware for the club,
Mm.
than just being like, oh, but just look at the football we play.
True.
Cool, but what do you have to say for it?
Nothing. I mean, more than saying something for it, they have nothing to show for it. I think
Nothing to show for it.
yeah, they just, but I think, okay, do you genuinely believe, forget squad depth, but do you think Arsenal have the players to win any trophy at this point? Because at this point, even like a Mickey Mouse Cup, like a League Cup is like silverware for them, genuine
Yes,
silverware for
it
them.
is. It is genuine silverware, and I do think that they do have the players to
Okay,
win trophies because, and I'll tell you why, because Saka is a fantastic player.
yeah, true,
Declan Rice has been a lovely addition to that midfield. Like, he is
great.
fantastic.
He's the glue. Yeah,
David Raya is a fantastic signing. We all thought
yeah,
what Arteta was doing
yeah,
when he got Raya in, when Ramsdale was
true.
there. But the minute I'm saying, the minute Arsenal got David Raya in,
Hmm.
as a viewer, you started to see the problems that Aaron Ramsdale had. And
Yeah,
you started to see just how much of an upgrade David Raya is. So that was a
true.
great signing. Gabriel and William Saliba are a very
Best
good
defense in the
centre half
league.
partnership.
Yeah.
They're not the best defense in the league. They have conceded the same amount of goals as United centre half pairing has, by the way. They are
Which one are
not.
you talking about? United centre back pairing, because there've been so many.
There have been so many, but no, it is. It's if I'm not mistaken, Arsenal have let in 11 goals this season.
Okay.
United have let in 12 goals this season. So
Okay.
not just a
Comparable.
centre half pairing,
Yeah. True.
club to club. So it's
Club.
not like
Okay.
it's not like तुम लोग के ये रोल्स रॉयस एंड बेंटली डिफेंस नहीं है ये मतलब
True. Okay.
मारुति
औकात में
सिलेरियो और
रहो.
मारुति वैगनर है. ठीक है. So
ठीक है. ठीक है.
like let's
Good enough for
respect
an Indian
respect
family.
yeah,
Yeah.
respect.
Respect.
But having said that, they are still good defenders. I'm not saying that they're
Yeah.
terrible,
Yeah.
like, oh, fuck all.
Definitely.
ऐसा नहीं है. Defender अच्छा है वो.
Hmm.
uh, Wing backs, they need to get sorted because Kivior
Yeah.
and Tomiyasu are not at that level. They
Not good
still
enough.
look like
Yeah.
squad players who are being asked to
Yeah.
play that role. Ben
Yeah.
White also, again, I just don't
Squad
trust a
player.
footballer who says, yeah, I don't want to play for my country because I don't think I'm going to get picked. Or I don't like watching football when I'm done because to me it's just a
Yeah.
job. I'm like, that
Yeah.
sounds great for an athletic article, but that is a
Yeah.
major red flag if you're actually an elite sports team कि तेरे प्लेयर को फुटबॉल पसंद नहीं है, वो बस ये जॉब के लिए कर रहा है. मतलब
He's just
देयर इज
paying
नो.
the bills, Amogh.
या
Don't hate him.
लाइक
He's just paying his
तू,
bills.
अरे तो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी करना. लाइक तू ये
Yeah,
क्यों
he's
खेल
just
रहा
one
है.
of us. Ben White is probably Indian, like in the past life or something, because his attitude towards work is the same as my attitude towards work.
हाँ.
I don't
या
like it, but I don't hate it, but karna padta hai, like papi
या
paid types.
या 5 बजे लैपटॉप बंद.
True,
So
true,
so yeah,
true.
so I feel like by and large they do have decent players.
Yeah,
I would
they do.
even go on to say they have good players,
Yeah.
but they're not
So
at that
again,
level yet where, like, for example, you look at Liverpool and City. The players
hmm,
that Liverpool and City have are far better players
yeah,
than Arsenal have. Now, what Arsenal
true.
did last season
Hmm,
to get up to second place was great, but
hmm,
they did not have the squad to build on it this season. And it's
true.
delusional for Arsenal fans to think कि because we finished second last season, अभी तो हम लोग जीतने वाले हैं. ऐसा
No,
नहीं होता है.
it's not handed to you on a plate now. I mean, had it worked like progressively like that season, then if you go from second to first like in one season without any struggle, then it's not like that's not how football works. I mean, it's not played in on paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so just a small question to you, Mo. You said Arsenal have players that are good enough to win trophies. So do you think it's a manager who's the issue here?
No, it's not. I again don't think that it's the manager who's the issue because I feel like, very objectively speaking, he is a young
Hmm.
manager who has changed the culture around that club. And having
Yeah,
spoken to Arsenal fans who, uh, rue the days of Unai Emery, who fantastic job at Villa this season, but
yeah,
it did not work out for Emery at Arsenal. It did not
yeah,
work out
true.
for Arsene Wenger in the last years of Arsene Wenger, right?
Yeah,
Like, there was a
yeah,
lot of toxicity around the club, which we as United fans are experiencing right now. So, there
yeah,
is hard
true.
relate in that sense. But
Yeah,
Arteta has come in and he's changed the culture for sure. He has,
true.
given them a slightly newer identity for sure.
Hmm.
He loves the club. The players love him. They want to
Mm.
fight for him. They want to play for him. So these are all good signs. The
Yeah.
problem is that they don't have the depth. It's just that
True.
they don't have the players to go all the way. And
True. True.
that, I think, is the biggest problem. And to add to that, now Edu is going to leave. Their director of football,
Yeah.
he is going to leave at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So that is going to be another problem for them, because Edu up until now was a fantastic DOF for them. He was
Yeah.
instrumental in getting certain key players in. So
Mm.
how they replace him and how they recover from that is also going to be very interesting.
Interesting, but it- was it no Arsenal always had like a director of football, right? They are not like United who've just like started having a director of football, right?
No,
So I'm
even
pretty
they
sure they
start they got a director of football quite late in the day as well.
fair enough. But given that they're so, big on like nurturing players and building them up and getting them to a certain level, I'm pretty sure they'll find like probably a former Arsenal player. I wouldn't be surprised if a former Arsenal player comes along and becomes the next director of football because they'll just continue that tradition of, having somebody who knows the club, understands the club, has been there, done that at
Yeah.
Arsenal. But I'm trusting them to find like a good director of football. They won't pick like a hipster, for example.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. Of course, the losses for Man City and Arsenal, and the win for Liverpool mean Liverpool are top of the table. Liverpool beating
Yeah,
Brighton 2-1.
yeah.
Oh my God! Is the like I feel like my worst fears are about to be realized, where a bald Dutch manager does something that a certain other bald Dutch manager could not.
One of them was absolutely out of their depths, I think, because with Slot, you can at least see what he's trying to do. Fine, you can say that players to Sarri, Klopp care and this guy, but he's at
Hmm.
least like जो भी कर रहा है, you can see there's tangible like results on the pitch, and you can see that they're a lot more sturdy right now, and they've always had like the attacking edge that Klopp had given them, and like it's pretty much like an attacking sense, it's pretty much the same style that Klopp had, only thing with a bit more defensive solidity, I would say. So,
Hmm.
uh, as much as I hate to say this, and I hope I'm proved wrong, but yes, Liverpool do have a chance of winning the league if things continue to go this season. But having said that, it's still like early days and long way to go.
It is early days, but what I find really fascinating is and scary at the same time, considering I'm a United fan,
Yeah.
is that yes, Klopp ka players hai, but Slot has slotted in really, really well, right?
Yes.
Like it.
Yes.
This is a team that is, like I said just a little while ago,
Hmm.
grinding out results when results
Yeah.
are tough to come by. They
True.
grinded out a 2-2 against Arsenal, right?
Arsenal.
That
Yeah.
was a big, big point for them.
True. True. True.
They're grinding out results against teams. They're winning when you would think they're not going to win. They've got
True.
one loss against Nottingham Forest, 1-0
Yeah.
loss, and that just seems like it was so long ago
Yeah.
that it's gone from memory, right?
Yeah.
When that happened, I remember we were so happy as United fans. Like, ha ha ha! See, you guys are going to
Yeah.
get fucked now that Klopp is gone. You're losing to
Yeah.
Nottingham Forest, and then they just got back on track so well.
Yeah.
They haven't faltered since, and that's what
Yeah.
championship winning teams do.
Yes, they do because I remember this because United used to be like this at one point in the day, and I'm sure you remember it as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this, like you said, I completely agree that this is the hallmark of a championship winning side. And so far, they're showing all the traits of being a championship winning side, and it will really hurt not just because of the ball Dutch manager thing, but if they do go on to win it, and fair play to them if they do, it will really hurt to watch them just equal our number of titles.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, like the best thing to happen is City winning the league, right? That is the ideal outcome. Or fuck it, Aston Villa winning the league. Let's go. Nobody,
Let's go.
nobody who can be close to us gets, like, City don't get a fifth in a row. Liverpool
Yeah,
don't equal our 20 titles. Arsenal
true.
don't get to say, "Oh, we got back to winning ways before you guys did," and we
True,
can continue to make fun of them, and
true.
we can
But
all collectively marvel at Aston Villa winning the league.
yeah, I guess that would be a good evening for an Arsenal fan. Sorry, for an Aston Villa fan.
Yeah,
And yeah, but that will also create a new breed of Aston Villa supporters in India, at least, because I'm not too
yeah.
sure there are too many.
No, there aren't. But
But
having
let's
said
see what
that, Aston
yeah.
Villa are sixth, whereas Nottingham Forest are third. So there's the,
Yeah, no,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. There is something special is cooking up at Nottingham
yeah,
Forest, and it is. Yeah, I mean, before they came into the Premier League, I knew very little about them.
yeah,
And like you've seen that meme, Amog, that that there's a picture of ham, and then they divide it, and then one is like East Ham, one is West Ham. Then the ham is eaten, then it is Nottingham. That
yeah.
is my only reference to Nottingham Forest at one point, and now I get to see them every week, and they seem to be doing pretty well. So yeah, it's interesting, and I love an underdog. I mean, I was the second happiest person in the world when Leicester won the league in
Yeah.
2016,
Wait, who was the first
and
happiest?
I don't know, probably a Leicester fan.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Uh, but yeah, so yeah, it would be great if Forest actually went on to do something.
Yeah,
Aston Villa
this
are,
feels this feels like those glory days. Like the glory days are coming back for these clubs because they used to be pretty like big in
Champions
the
League winning club, Nottingham Forest.
yes. Yeah, Champions League. And even Aston Villa for I think 97, 98, something like that. They won it in the 90s once
Yeah,
under Martin O'Neill or someone. Not
yeah,
under Martin O'Neill, but he was part of that squad or something like that. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it looks like it's. So Amog, are you considering finding a new club?
No, no. Unfortunately, that sort of behavior is looked down upon. So my response always is when push comes to, like, I will always support Man United regardless of what
Yeah,
happens. Uh,
yeah,
uh, but I just don't let myself get affected that much by United results. And when things
yeah.
get really bad, I tell everyone I support Mumbai City. That's my local club. So
Hmm.
and Mumbai City just beat Kerala Blasters, so I'm very
Yeah,
happy.
I had mixed
4-2
feelings
went to
about
Mumbai
that as a
Football
Malu.
Arena.
Yeah, I saw. I mean, I saw
Ah,
the result, and yeah, I was very conflicted about that. But I wanted to ask you this: Amol, how does it feel to be a United fan and then also be like a Mumbai City fan? Isn't that like a conflict of interest? And how do you balance that
no,
out?
not really, because look, ownership is one thing, right? Like
Yeah,
clubs are going to be owned by people who are, let's say, not of the strongest character or moral
true.
upbringing or whatever. Like
Yeah,
everybody who has the money to buy a football club has
uh,
done something shady in their life, right? Like, let's
true,
be honest, you
true.
don't get that amount of money,
Hmm. Hey, so are you
and
suggesting
that's
that
just
even Sir Jim Ratcliffe has done something shady in the past? Could be,
he
right?
runs he runs a massive chemical company. Like, at the very least, he has made a few number of species extinct in the world. So like, कोई दूध से धुला हुआ नहीं है ये
नहीं होता
ये
है
लाइन में.
in this
So
line. Yeah,
it's
fair
just a
enough.
case of, man, at the end of the day, I don't care who owns Mumbai City.
Hmm.
uh, it is my local club, so I'll support it till the
Fair,
point that
fair.
if they do something that is so ridiculous, like so terrible, like somebody is a known criminal that they are still
Hmm. Hmm.
supporting or something like that. If it goes
Yeah,
into shady behavior like that, then you
yeah.
might
Could be,
stand up.
could
But
be, could
up until that
could
point,
be.
it's my local club. It brings me joy because I
Yeah.
can go to the stadium and watch games.
And watch
uh,
them. Yes.
and that's about it. Yeah, like इतना
Yeah.
सोचने
Fair
का नहीं
enough.
कि क्या owner कौन है and all of that. All this fucking
Fair
virtue
enough.
signaling, no, it gets you nowhere, is what I've realized
Fair enough.
in my 35
Agree
years
with
of
you.
being alive. That is
Yeah.
that is the
Fair enough.
the
I
thing.
understand that. Hey, by the way,
So
do you happen to have any update on the 115 charges that City have? Is like I know there's a trial going on and everything, but
it's
there
gone
hasn't
up to
been an update.
130.
That's the update?
It's gone up so 115 has become 130, and they're expecting an outcome to come out early next year. First quarter of next year is when they are saying that the
Okay.
trial will conclude. So ऐसे बीच
Okay.
बीच में होते रहता है, like the reading of the statements and all is happening right now. So as and when there's a big explosive thing, then news comes out कि
Okay.
अच्छा ये भी हुआ, ये बोला ये लोग, etc etc. But
Okay. Fine. Cool.
हो जाएगा, जो
So
होगा
there
वो
is
हो
a
जाएगा,
chance
देखा
of,
जाएगा.
us winning another title if they're stripped of one of their titles
Jose Mourinho will get
retrospective.
it.
Jose Mourinho, yes,
Yeah.
again, the special man who's now who doing knee slides at Fenerbahce.
Dude, what a fucking moment. Like, Jose Mourinho is box office because that knee slide was the best
Yeah,
worst thing I have seen.
True, 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 true. I am completely with you on that. And it's just like, I mean, I still like have a lot of like love and respect for that man because he's just such a character. And football needs
Yeah,
more characters like him. I mean,
yeah,
can you imagine how explosive and diabolical Jose Mourinho managing Balotelli at Inter Milan was? Because both
yeah,
of them are like
yeah,
unmanageable personalities in that sense, and they coming together is like immovable force
yeah,
meeting like unmovable. Sorry, whatever that
yeah,
statement is.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it
yeah.
is. Happy about like
No, no, he
looking
dude, like
forward to the this thing.
he's a box office manager, and more than anything else, no, more than United winning the title, because again, I'm of that opinion that if you're going to win the title as a football team, it should be on merit. It shouldn't just be because तुम लोग के
Yeah, somebody was stripped
आगे
off.
वाला
Yeah,
जो टीम था उसको पॉइंट डिडक्शन मिला इसलिए तुम लोग जीत गया. There's no fun in that.
true.
But I would love for that to happen just so Mourinho gets that medal. Like just
Yeah.
because that is then a great rounding off of the arc for Jose Mourinho. Uh, and
Mm.
that would be fantastic. But from one Portuguese United manager, former United
Yeah.
manager, to the new one, Ruben
Great
Amorim,
segue.
the
Yes,
manager
Ruben
for
Amorim.
Sporting Lisbon, has now
Yeah,
been confirmed as United head coach. He joins on the 11th of November. Till then, Ruud van Nistelrooy is taking
yeah,
interim charge. Uh,
true.
Good for Ruud van Nistelrooy. First game against Leicester, a nice
Yeah,
4-2 victory in the
yeah.
Carabao Cup, and now a 1-1 defeat. Sorry, a 1-1 draw against
Draw.
Chelsea
Mm.
at Old Trafford in the Premier League. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on, firstly, on Van Nistelrooy?
Van Nistelrooy, it feels like I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy because I watched the Leicester game. I was away like in Bangalore for a wedding, but I carried my laptop just to watch the Leicester game, and I was pretty happy with what
Yeah,
I saw because it just felt like how the these players, at least like most of them, at least the ones that were on the pitch, they seem to care about the club, and that is not
yeah,
something that we've said like very often about uh, the players in this club, especially in the
yeah,
recent past. So I was very happy with the performance again from a team that has been struggling to score goals to suddenly, going on to score 5 goals in one game, and we could have scored more, to be honest. So that was
yeah,
great to watch. There
yeah,
seemed to be like some tactics as well. So whatever was said behind closed doors in like the last week or 10 days or whatever, it's only been a week. So in the last week, players seem to, want to win Van Nistelrooy over, which is great.
yeah,
And it's leading to, I think there are better days already here since Ten Hag left because maybe it was just not working and this guy just kept
yeah,
saying, trust me and trust the process. And
yeah.
now I think I'm just happy. Like, there's a lot of relief in me right now that Van Nistelrooy is at the job and I'm just looking forward to the remainder of this interim thing. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I no complaints about Van Nistelrooy and I'm enjoying it so far, and it's been good so far. Because even like I know I'm kind of slightly disappointed that we did not win yesterday,
Mhm.
but apart from it's still like a better performance apart from what we saw like compared to what we saw in the last few games of Ten Hag's reign. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just happy like overall like pretty much like no complaints as such.
But what do you think about Ruben Amorim then? Because he is a young manager, 39 years old, very
Hmm.
similar pre-Man United statistics to Eric Ten Hag in terms of number of
Hmm.
games managed and number of
Yeah.
victories and etc. etc. Right?
Y- Yeah.
Is
Uh,
Amorim going to be another Ten Hag? Because when Ten Hag was hired, everybody was just like, "Oh, this is the next big guy." He is the next master tactician, and
hmm.
that's what United fans were crying out for after Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because everybody was like, "ये vibes अच्छा है, पर tactics नहीं है."
Yeah. So I don't like we'll just like so I honestly don't know too much about Amorim. Like I've been reading up about him and like checking his background and doing background checks about him since the announcement was made because I don't follow this the Portuguese league. I mean, I know about Sporting and Porto and a couple of other clubs here and there, but I don't follow the Portuguese league. So Amorim, I'm hoping it works out for him, and I'll back him until there is no reason to back him. But he's just a new manager, and he's a very young manager, like you said. So I think it'll
Yeah.
be interesting to have some, fresh ideas and young blood at the club, and it'll be interesting to see how he manages like players who are close to his age, like for example, like a Johnny Evans.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how he
He
manages them,
was
and
he
because
was uh, he was Victor Lindelof's teammate at Benfica.
that'll be interesting. So it's amazing how these like players who are squad players essentially, like Lindelof and like Ugarte who's just come in. Ugarte's also played with Amorim at some point, I think.
Played under
So
Amorim at Sporting.
sport under Amorim at
Yeah.
Sporting. So it'll be interesting to see what they are saying about Amorim to the others,
Yeah.
and hoping it works out. And but apart from that, I know he plays like a three at the back
Yeah.
as compared to a four at the back. So I'm expecting like quite a radical shift in Amorim, like under Amorim as compared to like Eric Ten Hag.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. I feel like I'm, again, as I always am as a United fan, I'm cautiously optimistic, but
Hmm.
I'm only worried that it's going to be the same thing for United fans all over again and for the United players all over again. Because you will
Hmm.
get a new manager bounce.
Hmm.
Then players will start finding his methods too strict and too demanding,
Hmm.
and they'll stop playing for him. And then
Yeah.
fans will again turn on the manager.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear Amorim out very, very soon. And we'll be just be like, "Arey, who's this guy? We needed a proven manager. We should have signed Thomas Tuchel. We should have signed fucking
Yeah.
Julian Nagelsmann. We should have signed Gareth Southgate also. He's proven, apparently." But
What has he proven? I mean,
exactly.
like I'm not a big Southgate manager. I like, by the way, Amog, are you an England fan like internationally?
Kind of like internationally, I watch England, I watch Portugal, I watch, yeah,
Fair
mainly
enough.
England and Portugal.
But do you support either of these two clubs or
I mean,
sorry, any of these countries?
if they're playing any other team, then I will choose them over the other team that they're playing. But I don't really support an international team as
Fair enough. So
such.
you treat all international tournaments as Nations League, huh?
Pretty much, pretty much.
Nice, nice. Because
It is
I've
an
never seen a
international tournament
more.
for me is a good reason to bring friends over, have a beer, and watch the games. That's it.
Fair
Apart
enough.
from that, like there's no,
That's a good
which
way
is
to
nice
look at
because
it.
there's no emotional connect, there's no heartache of being a United
True,
fan when it comes to international
true,
tournaments. So somewhere I
true.
also do like the international tournaments more.
It's lesser like emotional damage.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel
But
like
let's see.
that's what's going to happen with Amorim. And
Yeah,
but fingers crossed, I'll hope for the best because he does seem like an exciting young manager. And
yeah.
the one thing that is going to be very different with him, and I've been watching his press conferences as well and
Hmm.
reading up about this very aspect, is that
Hmm.
the biggest difference is he has a charisma to him that Ten Hag didn't have. He has a way of
Hmm.
connecting with players on a man to man level that Ten Hag
Okay.
didn't have. Ten Hag was very robotic, which is a
Yeah.
classic Dutch thing,
That's
right?
thing. Yeah, they
And
don't.
it came across as he's not passionate enough or he's not able to communicate his ideas properly. The ideas were there, he was just not able to communicate them properly to
Hmm.
the players in England. But hopefully you can get that with Amarim. He seems like
Yeah.
a slightly more passionate guy. You might,
Yeah.
see him put his arm around his players shoulders a lot more, and
Yeah.
get them to perform that way.
Hmm.
So yeah, fingers crossed. I'm looking forward to seeing that because you're kind of seeing that with Rude right now. Like even in yesterday's
Yeah.
Chelsea
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
after every attack, he was out there on the touchline applauding the team.
Applauding.
He's like, "Yeah, this
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
This is good." But you would never see
Yeah.
that from Ten Hag. He would just be hands folded, looking stern.
Yeah. Yeah.
And after and you
And
get that, right? Like from a player's point of view, you get that. Like if your manager is not reacting at all, what the fuck are you doing? Like
true.
it's a very
Yeah.
depressing place to be.
True. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the rest of Ruben Nistelrooy's interim tenure. And but Amol, here's a question for you. Like, supposing we go unbeaten under Van Nistelrooy, and then Amorim comes in, would
Hmm.
you say that's still fair to like Van Nistelrooy,
Yeah,
or do you think so? You think this is a stopgap solution, whichever way it
it
goes
is.
down?
The problem was that we made the same mistake with Ole.
Yeah.
Right. Ole was a
Yeah.
great interim manager, and not denying that he was a very good permanent manager as well.
Yeah.
But the goodwill that he brought to the club as an interim manager no, is
Hmm.
priceless. And if it would
Yeah.
have just ended at that,
Yeah.
it would have been so good. Like his legendary status would have been even more legendary.
True.
Even as a permanent, if you had to have him on for a little while longer as an interim, fine. But to give him a 3-year contract and all, like it eventually just died out. So I feel
Yeah.
like they've done the smarter thing by saying that, nah, you're in charge for these 4 games, 5 games, whatever, and our new manager's already lined up.
Hmm.
And credit to him. Van Nistelrooy has also said that I'm only focused on the games as interim. After that, the
Yeah,
new manager comes in, and I will
we
be
get behind it.
here. Yeah, I'll be here in
Yeah,
whatever capacity the club needs me to help the club move forward.
fair
So
enough.
he is
Fair
very
enough.
clear, and that's great.
Fair enough. Yeah. So looking for, I'm hoping for better. I'm hoping that better things are around the corner for United and United fans because one of the worst things that I believe happened like in the last few weeks, especially towards the end of Ten Hag's reign, was I for one became very disconnected to the club. Like it almost didn't really matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah,
used to like be happy to like do shows and be on stage when United were playing as opposed to watching them and like
yeah,
because it's less a heartache. Now you come back,
yeah,
you see the score. Worst case, you see the highlights, and
yeah,
it got to a point where I didn't have any United players in my FPL team, and as long as my
yeah,
FPL team was doing well, I'm pretty happy with that because
yeah,
that was my
yeah,
only win.
yeah.
So I'm just hoping that Van Nistelrooy first and Amorim later they can restore not restore my love for United, but make it feel like worthwhile all over again for me.
Right. Well, on that note, it is time to end this episode of the Corner Flag. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening, and thank you, Rohit, for joining us. If you'd
Thank
like
you
to
for
get in
having me.
touch, if you'd like to get in touch with us and tell us what you thought of this episode, you can reach us on our social media. You can find Rohit on Instagram at,
At the Rohit George 09.
and you can find me on Instagram at Amogh. You can also follow the Corner Flag on Instagram and Twitter at the rate Corner Flag Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/at the rate Corner Flag Pod. And if you don't like to listen to us or watch us on YouTube, you can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify as well. Once you hit the subscribe button, do give us a 5-star review because that really does help us. Shout out to Keza Gurda for composing our theme tune. And until next week, it is goodbye from us. Say bye, Rohit.
Hi, Amol. Thank you for having me. Goodbye,
And it's
guys.
bye. It's bye from me.